The management mantra used to be hire good people, train them, and hang on to them for dear life. But two INSEAD professors say that idea is old hat, and they join us today on INSEAD Knowledge. We will welcome now Organizational Behavior Professor Frederic Godart. Thank you for being with us.
Hi, Shirley.
And Strategy Professor Andrew Shipilov. Thank you both. You seem to be saying it's not only okay to lose employees, but sometimes it's a good thing. Why is that?
If somebody from one organization goes to work for another organization, that person establishes an informal communication link between the two. And by exchanging information across those two groups of friends, that person can communicate to the organization where he or she used to work for the information as to what's going on in the other competitors. Where he or she is now working. And the more of those informal links the organization has, the more insight from competition that organization can receive by exploiting those people who went and started working for those competitors. And those insights, as we find in our study, help this organization to become more creative. Because if you have a lot of information about what's going on outside of your boundaries, you can take that information, internalize it, recombine it with what you know inside your own organization, and come up with new creative products and creative ideas.
Frederic, that troubles me a little bit. It almost sounds a little bit like espionage could be going on here. So is it really cross-pollination or what?
There is no, espionage. It's really exchanging in a friendly manner information. But I would like to add another point to what Andrew said about what you gain from mobility of people. So when you lose employees, you can also increase your influence on your industry as an organization. What does that mean? You just spread your business philosophy, you spread your ways of doing things, your routines. Let's take an example. Let's think about General Electric, GE. So GE is very well known for Six Sigma, the total quality management technique. What happened? GE spread Six Sigma, and through Six Sigma, it spread its influence. And how did they do that? By losing employees, by having people going to other organizations.
How did they come up with the title Six Sigma? What does that signify? Do we know?
What that in normal terms means, Six Sigma, signifies very, very little number of defects that you will have as a result of your manufacturing process.
Now, I can see a lot of this working maybe in the obviously creative industries. I get the sense you're saying that this is possible in the traditional industrial force?
Yes, absolutely. You have to understand that more and more of the products use very complex knowledge. And the issue with knowledge is that it gets obsolete all very rapidly. So how do you solve this issue? You hire people who have fresh knowledge, who have diversified expertise. Think about what happened in the 60s and 70s. Firms like Xerox, IBM, they had enough knowledge to be very successful in their industry, but that was back then. Now you really need to get more knowledge from more horizons, and you do that by losing people.
So you must have to manage these people whom you've lost. How do you do that if somebody's not right there in front of you?
Well, you have to know who are those people who want to leave. Because if you actually make those people stay, even though they want to leave, you're getting in trouble on a couple of dimensions. Well, first, those people aren't happy. And if these are knowledge workers who have to contribute with their brains and with their brain power to your organizational success, if they're not if they're not working with you full speed, if they're not contributing all what they can for your organization, if they're simply bored and unhappy, you're not benefiting from them as much as you could have. And also, what's even more importantly, if somebody wants to leave but you keep that person or you don't manage that person's career right, what you're missing those opportunities for informal information exchange with other organizations which you could have gotten if that person left your firm, or you're missing out on this opportunity to spread your influence. And if that person were doing some kind of manual job on the assembly line, that probably wouldn't really matter much. But if this is a knowledge worker, then being unhappy and not being able to move may actually be very bad for your organization.
So you keep the door and the channels of communication open while these people are gone?
Revolving doors.
Revolving doors.
Yeah, and it has to be revolving doors, but it's a revolving door where you don't think of them as traders if they went to work for a competition. You should think of them as people who have their career, who for a while were with your organization, and your organization could benefit from them even after they left.
Can you give me some examples of companies where this happened, that became more successful because of talent leaving?
Think about Prada or Marc Jacobs, which are known for adopting what we call the platform approach to creativity. So they hire a lot of people who don't have much experience, then they train them in some kind of activity in the industry that could be how to work leather, this kind of stuff, and then they let them go to other places. But very importantly, they follow those people. They keep in touch with them.
And if you think about examples outside of the fashion industry, well, GE is one, McKinsey is the other. It's McKinsey maybe the most obvious example where the company, the whole business model is built on developing and exploiting, so to say, the network of departed alumni, Procter & Gamble in consumer goods industries, Marriott in hotel industries.
Are your ideas here gaining some traction, or are you getting a lot of pushback from people who say, oh, they left, that's it, I don't want to see them again?
In our interviews, we've talked about these ideas with people we interview, and most of the time, once we explain the approach and our conclusions, I think they agree.
I mean, people, the initial reaction is, yes, I mean, how is that possible? But that's the interesting thing about this research. If we said that losing people is bad, then that would have just confirmed the war for talent story, which has been out there for a long time, and that wouldn't be very interesting. But what we're saying, in fact, that the war for talent story is a little bit outdated, in the sense that the companies should not be making everything they can to keep their talent inside their door.
Thank you very much, Professor Frederic Godart and Andrew Shipilov, for being with us on INSEAD Knowledge.
You're welcome.